Absolute Flash, issue 18, Jeff Lemire with Nick Robles on the art. So, this issue does a little bit of a time split here, where we start with now, which is Wally and Linda having a conversation on the roof about what to do next. Wally thinking he should leave so he doesn't put everyone else in danger. And Linda's like, screw that. And also Ralph and Sue come out and are like, yeah, we heard all that. Screw that too. You're sticking with us. And then they kind of cock tease you a little bit by having Ralph start to melt as if it's doing like Plastic Man stuff or Elongated Man stuff, I should say.
Yeah, Elongated Man. But then like Sue like explodes. Like,
well, yeah, but it's also fleshy though. It's also like the same thing that's happening to Ralph, and then you look down the street and then like, oh, everyone's having like weird mutations and like falling apart. This isn't specific to them. And then we flash back to a week ago, and we basically get to see this absolute version of Bones at the DEO, who it's less of an actual skull, but it has kind of like it's almost like a birthmark on his face that is vaguely skull shaped.
Yeah, and he's missing his nose, so it makes the nose imprints. But yeah, he's very, very like yeah, you're saying birthmark, but I wonder what happened that has led to him.
There could be different reasons for why, but that's just what it looks like to me right now. Yeah. And it's weird to say it's more subtle than the regular version, because there's nothing subtle about this man's face, but compared to an actual skull, it is more subtle.
Yes, an actual talking, moving skull that's chomping a cigar. This guy's got his vape, which I thought was very funny.
Yeah.
You know?
So we're introduced to Hunter Zolomon, who's working at the DEO, and he's in to speak to Bones. He's flirting with the receptionist first, though. He's a bit of a flashy guy. But Eleanor Thawne's in there. And he's not very happy that Thawne seems to know a lot about him, including the fact that he does have an ability. So Hunter Zolomon here can travel either forward or back 1 minute in time, and she believes that that's a unique ability that will help him fight Wally West because of what Wally's powers are. So I'm like, okay, this is interesting, and it's like a very different type of character for Hunter Zolomon. He's kind of this sleazy, hotshot, like, dude. And yeah, this is obviously all building up to what's happening in the present with the monsters, or the people turning into kind of monsters. And I guess I liked how this was kind of like loosely connecting to other things. Like at one point, Eleanor explains that Zolomon's been given like, or not Zolomon, but they start talking about who's doing this monster thing, and they tease that it's the old man. Like, and Zolomon's like, that old man, he's crazy. I put him away. Why would you get the old man out?
Yeah. You don't want to deal with that guy. Like, what are you doing? Put him back in there. He's in there for a reason.
And she mentions that he got an upgrade from a colleague, and you just see like demented Brainiac standing next to her. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm loving this idea of all the villains like working together, like behind the scenes. It really is quite menacing. But yeah. I will say, I'm so glad they put the title page of this at the end, because if they'd said abracadabra at the start, I'd have known instantly who the old man was. It was a nice surprise, because they didn't give me a hint that it was a magic-based thing. Or, well, I mean, the absolute abracadabra might actually be magic. We don't know, but obviously the regular version isn't, really.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, abracadabra in the mainline Flash stuff, is he's from the future, and he has tech that makes it appear like magic.
Yes.
To us, right? He's from like far, far in the future.
He's the man behind the curtain, right? He's the Wizard of Oz, basically. He's pretending to have magic, but he's not really magic.
This guy's just doing straight up body horror things, and is way more horrific in the way that the Absolute Universe has shown us, right? Like, again, Ralph Dibny melts like the Elongated Man. His wife explodes into this like creature from The Thing, from John Carpenter's The Thing.
That's why I say it was an effective misdirect, because I think it's obviously for that one panel you're thinking, Elongated Man stuff's happening, and then very quickly it's like, oh no, this has got nothing to do with that. This is a lot of other stuff going on.
And when they were talking about the old man, I started running through different DC villains, because we all know that the Absolute Universe is fine with mixing and matching.
Oh yeah, there was nothing to say this had to be a Flash character that was going to be the old man.
And so I'm like, who's the old man? Like, who? And then when at the end where Grodd's head goes missing and he pulls it out of the hat, like, I didn't even read what he was saying, I was like, oh, abracadabra. Here we go. We're doing the weird magic-y stuff.
Yeah, demented old man with the crazy hair, looking wild. I like that Linda and Grodd are kind of like becoming kind of like they're almost like ganging up in Wally in like a positive way, where they're siding with each other to try and convince him to do stuff and to not give up and so on and so on. Like that
feels like an actual friend group, right?
Well, that's the good character vibes that we've been enjoying in this book. That's been kind of like elevating it beyond what it was before. Although I think from a plot perspective, this is maybe the most I've enjoyed just the plot in an issue of this, because it feels like, oh, I'm getting what it's doing. Wally does save this random person, this mother with her baby, in an alleyway, and he's like, because she's like, oh, who are you? And he's like, okay, fine, I'm the I'll use the name Linda gave me, I'm the Flash, because he doesn't have anything else. He's like, shit, okay, fine, I'm the Flash.
Yeah, so he can't say I'm Wally West, you know? He's got to come up with something. Yeah, I also like on as he's going, we got Robles back, and so we get the cool digital effect. Not digital, but you know what I mean. Like the
lines. It's not
doing the. It's
less lightning and more like these. I mean, there is lightning as well. To be fair, that's also there.
Interference.
But it's more like these sort of the red broken up lines that sort of indicate the speed. But then we also have on top of that how Robles is showing Zolomon's power, where he's kind of showing up in this kind of almost yellow, I wouldn't say ghost per se, but he's like shaded yellow, as if like, oh hey, this is like Zolomon sort of jumping backwards and forwards through time, and he's like, hey, I keep looking into the future and you keep beating me, so I really need to win this. I need to make sure you can't get back up. And I'm like, oh, this is an interesting thing to have to overcome for Wally. It's like, how do you beat someone who keeps cheating by looking ahead and seeing how to like get around what you're about to do?
Right, and then jumping back to him to stop you from doing what you're going to do.
Yes,
because he can move forward and back. And I also like the first time we see Zolomon use his powers, it's very reminiscent of Wally's with those lines. It's just inverted, right? So it's yellow. There's much more distortion around Zolomon. So I'm imagining this is what other people see Wally doing. You know, because usually we're getting it from just Wally's perspective. But yeah, so I like the way that goes. And then on that scene where he starts fighting Wally, just the way that the red lines and the yellow lines are intersecting at odd angles and stuff, it really adds this, like, no lack of a pun here, I'm not meaning to, but like a flash to everything, you know, like a razzle dazzle kind of vibe.
Yeah. Cool. And there's like two cliffhangers here. One being that Zolomon wins the fight, he gets Wally down, and then Thawne tells him to kill Wally. And notably, Zolomon all issue is clearly not. It's like there was no interest from him in this being an assassination thing. He thought it was just to bring him in, and so it feels like he's going to be tested here, and maybe he'll go against orders. That's maybe the temptation here. Linda and Grodd go looking for Wally because they're worried about him, so they're running through the chaos. And the cliffhanger with them, of course, is that they don't find Wally. What they find instead is the guy responsible for all the monsters is Abracadabra. And notably, all these little monsters are coming from under his cape, as if that's where all the bad mojo's coming from that's doing this to everyone. But he looks really demented. He's got like the sort of like the bald up top, but the long hair at the sides that's coming out, plus the glowing red eyes.
I believe that's called a skullet.
A skullet? Okay, I'll take your word for it.
No, that's called a skullet. That's what they described Hulk Hogan's hair at the end. You know, he had the long, stringy stuff around. Yep, and then the bald dome on top. So
yeah. Well, this is longer. This is like crazier and like almost like it's puffed out a little bit. So
he kind of, and please, if this gets back to him, do not curse me or hex me.
Oh,
I have enough problems. He's vaguely reminiscent of Alan Moore a little bit.
Well, yeah, but Alan Moore's got a luscious full head of hair, last I checked.
Yes, but just the way that it's kind of wavy around, it was always that picture I would see of Alan Moore with the hair everywhere and then the beard, and you would just see the eyes almost poking out of the face. But yeah, there's just this mad scientist magician quality to him.
Hey, maybe for all we know, LEMIRE just handed Robles a picture of Alan Moore and said, "That's your inspiration. That's what I want for Abracadabra. Do it."
And it kind of went like the DEO conversation with Zolomon. Because I feel like Robles like, I'm not messing with that guy. Like, are you serious? I've heard stories about duels with Morrison where I'm not doing this. You know?
It's funny
but,
though.
But yeah, and I just looking at all this and having Abracadabra being like a Flash villain is real cool.
Yeah.
Because again, could not figure out who the old man could be, so it was a nice surprise. But like introducing Zolomon here and the idea of Zoom and like what that could be in the Absolute universe, as a longtime Flash fan, intrigues me because like as anything goes in the Absolute universe, like what is that version of Zoom? Right? Because the whole idea of Zoom is this is a guy that got stuck in a time loop, couldn't save his family, right? And wanted to hold Flash to being this of a higher standard, of Wally to being a better hero. And that was kind of his demented way of being a thorn in his side. So it's like, what's the Absolute version of that? Because I feel like whatever happens here, right? Like you feel like he doesn't want to kill Wally. Does he become an ally and now we have this guy that shifts time back and forth, or do we have like Brainiac get a hold of him and it goes that way and that's where he starts going? Like, you know, like the possibilities are endless right now, and that's excited. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I'm happy to be where it's at,
because if he refuses to kill Wally, yeah, he could become an ally, or it could be the tragic thing where Thawne and Brainiac get a hold of him and like do stuff to him that turns him into the villain, where he just becomes like this new Reverse Flash, but in like a really kind of like, I don't know, like almost like zombie cyborg type way or something, where they've just completely brainwashed him or you know, lobotomized him or whatever it is. So there's lots of potential for that. And like I was saying, the title of this is Now You See Me, and that's what I was saying. Where if I'd seen that at the start, I'd have been thinking magic, and I maybe would have thought of Abracadabra as a result. So, you know, smart to put that at the end. And to be fair, they've always been at the end of these issues, but they knew they were going to be at the end, so they knew that they weren't spoiling anything by calling it that. So yeah, I mean, I think this was a really solid issue of Absolute Flash. I think I've been saying this for the last 3 or 4 issues, but I think the more it's went along and the more it's established the relationships, the more I've enjoyed it, because it's feeling like there's a sort of world that he's living in, that he's breathing. One of the biggest problems with the first arc or so was that he was kind of on his own the whole time. There was a lot of jumping backwards and forwards. And while this does jump backwards and forwards to the setting up of hiring Zolomon to go after Wally, it was a good introduction. It was nice and clean. It raised a lot of interesting questions about what we were doing. And it didn't feel like it was overly complex needlessly, right? Because once we came back to present day, that was it. We were just in present day for the rest of the issue, and it flowed really well. I read this super quick. It had a good cliffhanger, had 2 good cliffhangers even at that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the stuff with Ralph and Sue too, when he shows up, it's like, hey man, we're not going to let you do this alone. It makes you feel like again, these are people that care for Wally, which then makes me care about Ralph and Sue. So when you see them, devolve into whatever Abracadabra does to them, you're just like, oh man, like Wally can't catch a break.
Well, this is the rub, though. Everyone's trying to convince him to not run away, like you're not a danger to us, and then this happens. He's going to think more than ever that he's a danger to everyone around him. So I don't see a good, happy result coming from that.
Yeah. So, but he does the little tricks like that where it makes you care a little bit more. And
we've not even said this yet, but here's hoping that they can be put back to normal. Like what if, what if this is just them dead?
I do feel like what we've learned about Abracadabra is able to be contained, right? Because Zolomon was able to bring him in. So that means someone with speed kind of powers can, so.
That doesn't mean they can.
Tell me
that doesn't mean they can reverse things that he's already done, though. That's a different thing entirely.
True. Oh man, what if it was because we get a Simon Baz reference here, where Zolomon's like, "No, I don't cover the East or the West Coast. I'm an East Coast guy for the DEO. You want Simon Baz? Like, what if it was Abracadabra that put that curse on him? Where he can't see his face. That would have been interesting.
I think
he has lasting effects.
Yeah, but I think he mentioned who put the curse on him. Did he not? Green Lantern?
I don't remember.
I feel like
book's so dense. He might have. And that information left my brain when I had to start trying to fit in all the Eins and Sirs and, but yeah. But I do like that they're making the DEO this like what I'm looking for, like a cohesive thing, like it's binding the Absolute universe, because we're getting it popping up here in a Green Lantern, and then we have Brainiac, right? We have Hammond showing up in Absolute Green Arrow, so it's starting to feel like this more connected universe, but and it's not through the obvious things, right? It's through these little tiny backdoor channels.
Yeah, but to be clear here, the DEO, yeah, they've shown up in 2 books, but like all the other characters you're talking about are all part of a league, right? That was what was set up in Absolute Evil, so they are all intermingling at the same level, whereas the DEO is like a step down. And they even mentioned that here, where Bones is like, hey, Thawne and her group are what give me my orders. So, so they're establishing a hierarchy as well, which I like. So yeah, it is interesting seeing these sort of like behind the. When I say behind the scenes, I just mean like it's not the heroes that are crossing over; it's the villains that keep crossing over, and that's an interesting difference to what usually happens. So, very very cool.
Because Linda and Wally are even talking about they talk about Diana in Gateway City, and that Wally can be the big chick with the sword for Central, and I was like, I don't want to be a big chick with a sword. I want to be a regular person. So there's even that little reference here, which I think is cool.
Yeah. It makes sense. It's happening a little bit more as we get deeper into the stories. But yeah, I just think that this book has come together more. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's as good as the main 3 Absolute books still, right? I don't think it's and I think it would take a lot to get it to that point, honestly. I don't know if it ever will. But I do think it has improved, and I care more about it quite a bit compared to those first like 6 to 10 issues where it was, I was like, I wasn't like hating it or anything. There was definitely things to like enjoy or potential in it, but I feel like I'm more actively like into these last like 3 or 4 issues. I'm like, no, I'm actively looking forward to this now, as opposed to, I don't mind reading this. I actually want to read this now. Yeah,
I feel it's become very dependable. Where it's just going to be it's not going to be the best thing we've read all week, but it's going to be a nice, good read. And I'm going to leave it being like, oh, okay. I like what Lemire's doing here.
Yeah. So, and then Robles, of course, gets to do some different stuff here. He gets to do the monster stuff, which is a little bit different than normal. He gets to do the inventive stuff where we see how Zolomon's powers are working, at least from Wally's perspective, which is cool. But also the fact that even he just gets to introduce Zolomon at all, and we get to see this Doctor or Mr. Bones, Doctor, but he's not Doctor. He didn't go to med school and get a doctorate.
No. He doesn't even have a philosophical doctorate. Like he's Mr. Bones.
Yes.
Director Bones.
Bones, technically, yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of memorable things in this issue visually. So I can't really fault the art in any way either. So. No, good time. I really have nothing too bad to say about it. What are you giving Absolute Flash, Matt?
Straight 8.
Yeah, I think I agree with a straight 8. I think it's inching up the way, and I think it's been kind of in the 8 territory for a few issues now, and only getting more confident at that level.